Good afternoon, Tejasvi.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Tejasvi.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So, good afternoon, Tejasvi, once again, and give your brief introduction about yourself.
Uh, yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Tejasvi Deshpande. I come from Aurangabad, Maharashtra. I have pursued BA Economics Honors from University of Delhi, and since then I've been preparing for the civil services examination. My hobby is playing basketball, and I have an interest in reading about behavioral economics.
Very nice. Despite having a lot of scope in economics, and you have a keen interest in economics, why did you choose to civil services?
Sir, economics has an application in the field of civil services. Uh, Firstly, in data-driven decision making, that is one of the major applications. And secondly, also with the advent of behavioral economics, we see that nudges in policy making are one of the it is at the forefront in policy making. So I think along with these two reasons and the fact that I wanted to work at the grassroots level, that was something that motivated me to join civil services.
It is seen that women empowerment in India is confined to economic empowerment of women. Do you agree with this?
Uh, Sir, I think from a national level perspective, economic empowerment is not the only empowerment that we are looking at. For example, we have political representation now with, say, the Women's Reservation Bill for the Lok Sabha, 74th and 73rd Amendment at the local level. So that provides political empowerment to women. And I think with initiatives like the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme, we have seen social empowerment also happening in villages and rural parts of India, which have promoted higher levels of education for women. So, along with economic empowerment, we are focusing on both social and political as well.
Are you aware about 106 Constitutional Amendment Act?
Yes, sir. The 106th Amendment Act, it provides reservation to women in the Lok Sabha, state legislative assemblies, and the Assembly of Delhi.
How it will lead to economic empowerment of women?
So, firstly, with increased women representation in parliament, we can have better gender budgeting. That is something that can be possible. So, women in policy making will help in providing a different viewpoint, one which is female oriented and where people understand the issues that women face in, say, different sectors, whether it's agriculture or corporates. And secondly, also, I think this is one step that the government has taken, that is exemption of sanitary products from taxation. So that has also helped in overall empowerment of women. So I think these two things.
Do we
Yes,
have
sir.
this concept of gender budgeting in India?
Yes, sir, we do have gender budgeting in India. Uh, for example, in the interim budget, one of the major parameters or major focuses of the government is to provide policies for the Nari Shakti. And we have seen that through schemes like Mission Shakti or Poshan or even Startup India and PM Mudra, that women are being promoted, women are being encouraged to join the workforce and they're being promoted at the forefront of the economy.
In the history of India since independence, which
Yes.
one decision of government of India think is the best with respect to economic excellence of India?
So I think the reforms of 1991, that was a transitioning point for the Indian economy. We moved from being a closed economy to an open economy. And secondly, we also saw a change in our taxation system. And thirdly, we saw development of financial markets. And fourthly, it also gave rise to newer industries like IT, finance, and insurance. So I think the 1991 reforms is a major uh, reform which led to economic excellence in the country.
Are you aware about Chakravyuha challenge of Indian economy?
Uh, yes, sir. I know briefly about it. I'm not sure, but if you permit, I can
Yes,
like
sure.
take them.
You can try.
Yes, sir. So I think it refers to the wage price spiral that India has. That is, rising inflation leads to higher demand for wages, which then leads to higher prices again. And this is a Chakravyuh challenge that we are facing currently also, as we have lower wages but higher inflation. So coming out of this is something that we are is the future.
Okay. Tejasvi, if we see, and in during ancient time, India's contribution to world economy was very high. It was almost 33%. If you see in the
Yes.
present scenario, it has down to almost 3%. So
Yes, sir.
what reasons you find for this reduction of India's contribution?
Yes, sir. Uh, so there are certain structural issues that our economy faces. For instance, we have high cost of doing business in our country due to higher land acquisition rates or due to rigid labor laws, which then impact our overall industrial output, making our exports less competitive as compared to other countries, for example, Vietnam and Bangladesh. That is one of the reasons why there is low share of Indian trade in global economy. I think secondly, also limited investment. We see that India is an emerging market economy, and with the recent outflow of investors, also we see there is less capital, which then leads to a lower output in general and impacts our export growth. But yet, having said that, measures are being taken to improve our export potential. Yes, sir.
Okay. Suppose we are aspired to make this India to a superpower, global power.
Yes, sir.
So, what do you think? What is more important, political reformation or economic reformation? What is more important for India right
Yes, sir. Sir, in order to become a superpower, or as the goal is to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047, I think India needs an overall reformation, both political and economical, as both like politics and economics go hand in hand.
Which is more
They are
important
not.
in your opinion?
So I think economic reformation in the democratic setup that we have currently. India presently is a lower middle income country. And in order to reach the high income country target of say $14,000, it is important for us to grow at an annual growth rate of at least 7 to 8%. And I think with economic growth rate, it's important to focus on social and upward mobility in our society as a whole. So growth with equity should be the uh, path for 2047.
For that purpose, can you suggest any three reforms from your side for making India a global power?
So may I take
Yes.
a minute? Yes, sir. So firstly, provision of public goods like education, healthcare, skill development. This has to be increased at a larger scale and at a mass scale in India. Secondly, boosting our manufacturing capacity. India has taken efforts like the product linked incentive scheme, but along with that, we have to further take structural reforms like ease of land acquisition, reducing our labor market rigidity, which can then benefit overall growth. And I think along with manufacturing growth, it will also help solve our employment issues. And thirdly, inclusive growth approach that is no matter what the size of the pie is, ensuring that redistribution efforts are being taken so that the problem that was faced post 1991 reforms of increasing inequality or say higher concentration of wealth in service sector professionals, that can be avoided or at least addressed. We can have a conversation about it starting now till 2047 and then take measures. These three reforms.
Do you believe with present political system and chaos, India can become global power in future?
Yes, sir. I think we can definitely become a global power by 2047. Uh, Chaos is uh, I think dialogue and dissent is a part of our democracy. Terming it as chaos will be difficult to work with. But if we keep the goal of Viksit Bharat, a long-term goal of Viksit Bharat and short-term goals of, say, better educational levels in districts, or, for example, the One District, Product scheme, which helps in boosting industrial capacity of smaller districts, and programs like Aspirational Block Program. I think having these short-term goals with the long-term goal in the future. So no matter what the chaos, we will be able to perform.
There is a quote in economics that history repeats itself, but economics never. How will you explain this?
Yep. So we can see that historically in the 20th century, the world faced many global and international crises, mainly in the world wars that happened in 20th century. And presently, we are in a similar situation of crisis. That is, we have the Ukraine-Russia crisis and the Middle East conflict, which have potential to become larger global wars. So we have seen that history does repeat itself. From the perspective of economics, I think uh, talking about events, we had in the 1930s, we experienced Great Depression. But post that, at least till date, we haven't experienced that kind of an economic backlog or that kind of a depression till date. I think the world economy, as well as the Indian economy, is resilient enough, and it has learned from that incident. And economics as a field is also evolving and dynamic. So I think that is why the quote is there.
Who is Dr. Savita Kulkarni?
Sir, Dr. Savita Kulkarni is one of the leading economists from India. Ma'am works at Gokhale Institutes in Pune, and she's also a leading voice on behavioral economics.
How behavioral economy is different from psychology?
Yes, sir. So behavioral economics involves psychological insights to understand human behavior, and having done that, it applies these insights to bring about changes in human behavior. For example, through nudge theory, we have seen that uh, people can make healthier food choices. So I think psychology explains human behavior, while behavioral economics uses that explanation to form better choices for humans and then implement the final ends which are there.
Uh, do you know Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was chief chairperson of drafting committee, was having
Yes, sir.
specialization in economy?
Yes, sir.
How his knowledge of economy shaped constitution of India?
But I think one of the aspects was that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a liberal economist and liberal or neoliberal economist. And certain aspects of these are seen in the Constitution, say in the directive principles of state policy aspect, where uh, India wants to promote growth, but avoiding concentration of power. So I think that can be one aspect.
The TSV.
Yes.
Aurangabad is called as the tourism capital of Maharashtra. As in your
Yes.
city, various historical places are there. One of them is Bibika Maqbara. What is so special about Bibika Maqbara?
Yes, sir. So Bibika Maqbara was built by Aurangzeb's son for his mother, and it is a replica of the Taj Mahal. So that is one of the special features of Bibika Maqbara.
Godavari River is called as the lifeline of Marathwada region. But still, there are places in Marathwada facing the water scarcity. So, what is the reason behind this?
So one of the reasons for water scarcity in Marathwada is poor water management practices, and secondly, erratic rainfall. I think limited water management has led to like non-judicious use of existing water resources like the Godavari River, which is there, and erratic rainfall that is due to climate change has also affected the overall water levels in the region.
Do you think that Marathwada is facing the discrimination?
I think from an economic perspective, within Maharashtra, we see that uh, the districts in Marathwada have a lower per capita income as compared to, say, districts in Western Maharashtra, whether it is Mumbai, Pune, or Thane. And secondly, also, yes, sir, so there is a lower per capita income, but I think steps are being done by the Maharashtra government. For example, the Samruddhi Mahamarg, which is one of the major infrastructure projects, and that has helped Marathwada or Aurangabad become a center of growth for the Marathwada region.
Recently, there is a demand for the smaller states within the Maharashtra, like separate Vidarbha, separate Marathwada. So, what is your opinion on this? Is separate Marathwada a viable option?
No, sir, I don't think so that separate Marathwada will be a viable option. Primarily because one, it will lead to reduced funding, and secondly, it will also lead to a uh, uh, loss of growth centers which are there in Maharashtra, whether it's Nagpur or Mumbai. I think a better option can be that having a separate council for the Marathwada region within the existing governance framework, and better utilization of funds and resources. That can be another aspect that we can look at.
You have represented the Maharashtra state in basketball event. So, what is the
Yes, sir.
So, what is the reason of lack of awareness of basketball? What?
So basketball, yes, sir.
Yes, you can.
Sir, basketball is a non-traditional sport, unlike cricket. So I think there is limited awareness and limited knowledge about the sport as a whole. Secondly, the ecosystem with respect to the sport is missing. That is availability of good coaches, availability of proper infrastructure facilities, good quality courts, wooden courts, or synthetic courts. They are not available in all places. And thirdly, also limited funding and limited media coverage, which has then led to limited sponsorships in the game. So recently, like last year, the budget of the Basketball Federation was reduced to 2 crores from 6 crores. So I think uh, all of these reasons have led to a lower growth of basketball in our country.
You recently answered one of our co-members that India is opening up after LPG. But in last decade, we back out from RCEP. So how do you see this situation? On one side we are opening, on other side we are backing out. How do you see it?
Yes, sir. Sir, with regard to the RCEP, there were certain concerns for India. Firstly, lack of clarity on rules of origin, and that point could have led to dumping of Chinese goods in our country. So that was one. And since Chinese goods are low quality, they're cheaper, uh, and they're cheaper compared to Indian goods, we would have lost a lot of market share to China. So that was one of the reasons. Secondly, also lack of opening of service sectors. So there were limited negotiations on the services sectors, which would have given us a comparative advantage in, say, countries like Australia or China or Southeast Asian nations. So since there was limited discussions on that, I think these are the two reasons why we have backed out of our CEP. Having said that, we are continuing our FTAs with countries like UAE, Australia to improve our overall trade with allies. So I think India is putting her interests first.
Do we have any FTAs with ASEAN countries?
Yes, sir, we do have an FTA with ASEAN.
What are we? Are we in deficit or surplus with that? What is the status?
So we are facing a major trade deficit with ASEAN nations.
Tell me one of the reasons why. Why is that?
Yes, sir. Sir, I think better export competitiveness on the ASEAN side is one of the reasons. Like in case of India, I mentioned this before, the structural reforms are missing of land, labor, and overall capital acquisition. And that has led to higher price for our goods. So that can affect the overall trade deficit.
Do you know anything about China plus one phenomenon?
Yes, sir. So with uh, China plus one is a rising trend in the world and global economy, wherein countries are looking at alternatives for as a manufacturing base or as a partner in industrial output and as an alternative to China. So India is one of the potential lands for this.
Then are we capturing that potential output or potential window for us?
I think we are taking steps towards it. For example, with the Jan Vishwas Amendment Act, we have rapidly reduced the overall compliance burden which exists in industrial sector. That will help in lowering our overall product cost, and then it will make it easy for businesses to come and set up units in India. Secondly, with the product linked incentive scheme, it will it is giving benefits to domestic manufacturers as well as certain foreign manufacturers in some sectors. So I think that will also be helpful. So we are taking steps to capture on this opportunity.
As you mentioned in your leadership column, you have led a research study on truth about our bread basket. What do you
Yes, sir.
What is the truth about our bread basket?
Yes, sir. So this was a secondary research study, and there were three major findings. Firstly, that younger demographics and urban demographics, their consumption patterns are skewed towards white bread. Secondly, that brown bread is the same as white bread. That is, it is not healthier than white bread. And also thirdly, that millet breads like a jawar bhakri or a bajra bhakri or a ragi mudde, they are better and they are more nutritious, and consumption patterns can be shifted towards such breads.
Can you please tell me the bread basket of India, the location where it is located?
Yes, sir. So Northern Plains is the major bread basket of India. Like we produce grains like wheat in the Northern Plains, Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, while millets are produced in southern states and Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh.
In the world where it is located, bread basket of the world.
Yes, sir. So with respect to wheat, North American countries and the Ukraine-Russia belt, Eurasia region, that is where we find wheat production or cereal grain production at higher rates.
Do you think that Black Sea Grain Initiative is important for India?
Yes. Definitely, sir. The Black Sea Grain Initiative was a result of the crisis which broke out in the Eastern European region. And with the initiative, there is easier access to food grains. Plus, secondly, India can export food to this area. So I think it is important.
Okay. It is said that North America recently is in the crisis format. What is your opinion about it?
So there have been major developments, major political developments in North America. Uh, for instance, firstly, with the Canadian president resigning, that is one major development. Secondly, we see that there is a new US president-elect, and there have been threats of increasing tariffs on allies as well as different economies like US and Russia. So I think these are the reasons why there is chaos and uncertainty with respect to global geopolitics and economics.
Is there any relationship between wildfires happening in America and instability in US?
Uh, so I don't know if there's a relationship, but yes, the wildfires are a major disaster that are happening in Los Angeles currently. And there is one conspiracy theory or a theory which is being floated as to what was the reason behind the wildfires. So certain parties in USA are mentioning that it was a product of arson and it was deliberate, while other part of the political discourse is mentioning that it's due to the geographical reasons and Santa Ana winds that and very high wind rate, due to which the wildfires have grown to the extent that they have. So this is the controversy that is happening. Yes, sir.
Tejasvi, recently CEOs of MNCs in India are advocating for 70 to 90 hours of work in a week. What is your opinion on it?
Sir, I think India is at a major cusp of demographic dividend, and work is essential, but it is the quality of work which matters rather than the quantity. And I think that we have to improve our worker productivity, labor productivity in the coming years to truly become Viksit Bharat. So a 70-hour work week or a 90-hour work week might not be
So what is the optimum?
sustainable.
What is the optimum amount of number of hours for work in a week?
So I think presently India has an average work week of around 46 to 48 hours. And we are doing,
Is the optimum?
no, sir, I don't know if it's the optimum or what is the optimum rate.
चाय पीने में ही लेते हैं. Do you think that there is tax terrorism in India?
Sir, higher tax rates have led to lower business involvement in the country.
So you agree there is a
So-
tax terrorism in India?
No, sir, I'll have to read up more on it to understand this. Yes, sir.
Tejasvi, I just want to know, if we abolish income tax system in India, income tax in India, will it lead
Yes, sir.
to higher growth and income in India?
Sir, in economics, there is a theory which is the Laffer curve theory, which suggests that there is an optimal tax rate in any nation. So a tax rate which is lower than that or which is higher than that, both are suboptimal. Having said that, I think lack of an income tax will definitely lead to a suboptimal situation in the economy. Instead, we should focus on improving our on increasing our tax base, improving our tax collection rates, using behavioral nudges like celebrating people who pay taxes on time and who pay taxes regularly. And I think that will help in improving overall income tax rates.
You have represented Maharashtra in basketball, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The majority of the sports uses the ball. Majority
Yes.
of the sports are not ball centric. So what is
Yes,
reason
sir.
behind this?
Uh, so I don't know why, but there are certain sports which are non-ball centric also. For example, chess, Kho. So there are some sports which are non-ball centric, some which are ball centric, but I don't know the reason why it's ball centric.
Okay. Uh, is right to marry a fundamental right in India?
No, sir. Right to marry one's choice is a fundamental right in India.
Is there
Yes, sir.
marriage legal for same-sex people, same-gender people? Is marriage legal in India?
No, sir. It is not yet legal in India.
Okay. Uh, do you know what is reason why it has not been made legal?
Yes, sir. There are certain societal reasons for it. For example, it it can lead to breakdown of the institution of marriage, which is traditionally based on people from different genders. That is one reason. And I think secondly, also, there will have to be a major change in all the laws which are present in the state. That is another reason why there is resistance towards uh, same-sex marriage in our country.
Okay. Last question.
Yes.
Uh, which is your uh, first preference service?
So the Indian Administrative Service.
IS. Okay. Suppose you have been given two options, two opportunities to be an IS in Manipur cadre and to be an,
Yes.
I think IPS would be your second,
Yes, sir. That is the second preference.
IPS in Maharashtra. What will you choose?
Yes. So I think I will choose IS in the Manipur cadre.
But your home cadre is Maharashtra and it is better to be even deputy CM. But in your home cadre, it is always better than the CM in other cadre.
I think the concept of the Indian Administrative Service, police service, is that they are all India services, and they want people to work from different parts of the country in other parts to create that feeling of unity and diversity. And Manipur will offer challenges, uh, and it will offer a better work field. And given that my first preference is the IS, I think I'd prefer to work there. Yes, sir.
Anything else you want, we should ask you.
No, sir, thank you so much for your time and energy. And I'm very grateful to have gotten this opportunity.
All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.